Welcome back, everyone, to the NFC overview for Dawn of the Draft. You know what it is. It's Blitz and Kick, where we talk all football all the time.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft,
So like I said, this is the NFC overview. We're going to go through each team in the NFC, talk about their free agents, kind of an overview of what happened this last season, their biggest needs, maybe some draft guys to look out for. Free agency, the 2024 season is going to be in full swing here soon. We're going to get a lot of updates on contracts, trades, signs, releases. The news just keeps on pouring in. So let's just start right off with our first team here, our first division, the NFC North, the Packers. So they were 9-8 in 2023. Jordan Love had a great breakout season. The defense still kind of an issue, right? We got rid of Joe Barry a couple years ago, but defense is still an issue. Receivers are stepping up. He drafted a lot of young receivers, right? Dontavius Wicks, Jaden Reed, and Christian Watson as well. And then they choked against the Niners. I mean, I really thought the Packers were going to win that game in the NFC divisional round. I believe they probably should have won that game, but they just kind of choked at the end. But they have so much to work with, guys. They have so much to work with as it is. The Packers have about $13 million in cap space, but honestly, that's not where they're going to probably have their offseason at is free agency. I think it's just going to continue to develop these young guys, right? Get them better, overhaul the defense a little bit, continue to add talented players. So let's look at their key free agents. Right now we have Darnell Savage and A.J. Dillon. And honestly, I believe they're both probably just going to get cut. They're not coming back. I would highly doubt if they came back. I mean, Darnell Savage, we know he was kind of a higher pick for them a few years ago, and A.J. Dillon just really hasn't turned out. Besides that, they have Tyler Davis at tight ends, Jonathan Owens, right? Oh, gosh, Jonathan Owens. I won't talk about why he's in the news, but Corey Ballantyne as well, Josiah DeGora, Eric Wilson, Rudy Ford, Keyshawn Nixon. And they re-signed Preston Smith, but they don't have a ton of needs to fill in free agency. I think they're going to just probably do it in the draft, which is going to be okay. Their biggest needs: safety. Savage wasn't so savage. They need to replace their offensive line. John Runyon Jr. ain't his daddy, at least not quite yet. I don't think he'll get re-signed. I think he'll go elsewhere. And Jair, kind of banged up last year. Stokes is a big question mark for them. So that's their three biggest needs: safety, offensive line, corner. And so I have them taking Tyler Nubin, Graham Barton, and Chris Abrams-Strain from Mizzou. Tyler Nubin, the safety from Minnesota, I think could sneak into the first round. Graham Barton can play a lot of positions along the offensive line. He could probably play all five. I think that's very needy for this Packers team to get more offensive linemen in there. And Chris Abrams-Strain's kind of more of a nickel, but I still think he could play some outside for you too. Next team, we have the Vikings, 7-10 in 2023. No more Dalvin Cook. He's gone. Alexander Mattison is also gone. That's not great. We have the Jordan Addison kind of breakout year along with Justin Jefferson. That's a really good duo, still intact. Flores needs a lot of help. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, but the talent is there, right? The talent's kind of gone. There's not a lot. Daniel Hunter's a free agent as well. And it looks like Kirk Cousins could be gone. It's very possible he's on his way out. I've heard rumors that the Vikings want him back, but he might want a big contract and for a longer number of years. The Vikings are probably only willing to give him maybe a 2-year contract. But for Kirk, I think he probably wants maybe like a 3 or 4 year contract. And I think he could get that elsewhere. Look out for the Falcons for Kirk. And if Kirk's gone, they're in big needs. Daniel Hunter, I think they should bring him back. Daniel Hunter is a free agent. Kirk Cousins is also a free agent. Like I said, pass rushers are hard to come by. They really are. And, I believe that you should always bring them back. He's still productive. You can probably give him a 2-3 year contract, okay, and get him back. Marcus Davenport's a free agent as well. They got him a few years ago. That's not great because they're losing pass rushers, and that's the name of the game. You want pass rushers. KJ Osborne's a free agent as well. That's not great. Anthony Barr, linebacker, he was back with the Vikings. He's been all over the place. Jonathan Bullard, Josh Jobs, who had that really good kind of middle of the season there, as we know. So Cam Akers is restricted free agent, so I'm sure they'll bring him back as well. The Vikings have a lot of needs. I think they're one of those teams that could use pretty much anywhere besides receiver. I love how their offensive line is progressing. TJ Hawkinson's hurt. You might want to get another backup tight end there. Running back could be an issue if Cam Akers is not back. Their biggest needs, quarterback. Either if Kirk Coupons is there or he's gone, I think they need another one. I think they need another guy. DT edge, Jordan Phillips, Bullard, Lowry are not the solution. Daniel Hunter might hunt somewhere else, right? You might go somewhere else, get a big contract the Vikings are not willing to pay, and running back need a new cook in the backfield. And Cam Akers, he's up in the air. So my little mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings is J.J. McCarthy. I think he might be the perfect quarterback to go up and grab. I do not trust Bo Nix. I like Penix. I like his arm. I like his accuracy. But, he's a little injured, right? He's kind of unstable in that department. I think J.J. McCarthy would be a perfect trade up and grab, or maybe even stay at 11 and grab, just because I don't think they'll have to ask him to do a lot, right? Like I said, their offensive line progressing, it's getting better. Running backs, Cam Akers, maybe they get Jalen right here in the 3rd round, okay? And they have their receivers. And if Hawkinson comes back healthy, I think that's enough for McCarthy not to have to do, everything possible. Darius Henderson as well at defensive end. Again, we need to replenish this D-line. Henderson's a guy that could play maybe all 4 positions along the defensive line, a guy that Brian Flores can use in a variety of ways. And then, like I said, Jalen Wright in round 3, I think will provide a little bit of a Kamara-ish kind of a feel to the Vikings running back by committee approach. He can do a lot for you running and catching the ball. So that's my little mock for the Vikings. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. Wow, what a year for them. 12-5 in 2023. Ben Johnson is back. Screw the Commanders. He's back. They almost made the Super Bowl. Man, they should have. Goff really looked like that guy this year, honestly. I was up and down on him. Sometimes when he gets blitzed, when he gets pressured, he makes mistakes. But I thought he did his job, and he did well. And then lastly, let's bite some more kneecaps. I think this is an ascending team. I think this year they got a little further than most expected them to. So I think they're ahead of schedule. I think that's a really, really good place to be for the Detroit Lions. I'm excited about their future. Their key free agents, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Jonah Jackson. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's kind of odd. He's a little out there as a person, right? We kind of know that. And he was hurt a lot of this year, most of this year, in fact. I think he'll go elsewhere. I think they can improve. Even though I think he's a fine player, I think they can get someone else in the draft or free agency, possibly. This is a massive, deep safety class. And then Jonah Jackson as well as a free agent. The guard class is starting to shrink. It's still pretty good, but I think Jonah Jackson will probably get a bag no matter where he goes. And I don't know if the Lions will be willing to pay that. But they also have Halapalivudi Vaitai, Josh Reynolds, Teddy Bridgewater, Graham Glasgow at guard as well. Tyson Alualu was there this year, Kendall Vildor, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Dan Skipper, the guy that lined up offsides apparently. So there's a lot of offensive lineman free agents that I see for the Detroit Lions, and that's not great. And so I think that will be one of their priorities coming into next year, and that is one of their biggest needs. Is guard, Glasgow, and Jonah are free agents. Time to load back up. Cornerback, do you know who Kendall Vildor is? Because I really don't. They could use a corner for sure. And then edge as well. Who is opposite Aiden Hutchinson? That's always been a big question for them. We need someone else. They have replenished along the D tackle position. They've invested in linebacker. They're starting to invest in corner. But they really need to start investing in who is opposite Aiden Hutchinson. So my needs for them, right, are corner, line, and edge. And so my little mock draft for the Detroit Lions, I have Kool-Aid in round 1. I think a guy like him. I think a guy like Kamari Lassiter. I think Tyrion Arnold will be too far up. I think Ennis Registraw is going to be more of a round 2 kind of guy. So Kool-Aid might be their guy in the first round. Cooper Beebe in round 2. I think he's that kind of Dan Campbell kind of guy. Then Austin Booker, an edge in round 3. And I think he's a guy that you could develop. I don't know if right off the bat it's going to be a perfect pairing with Aiden Hutchinson. He's a little lean. He needs to gain some weight. But in terms of athleticism, the body type, the traits that you want, I think Austin Booker is that guy you could take to pair with Aiden Hutchinson in round 3. Lastly, in the NFC North, this is the big talk. This is Chicago Bears, 7-10 in 2023. DJ Moore, awesome year. Montez Sweat, they got him at trade with the Commanders. Justin Fields could be on his way out, and they got Shane Waldron as their OC. Lots of questions and maybe hopefully some answers for the Bears. Now, key free agents for Chicago Bears, Jalen Johnson, who they did bring back in a massive extension, like 4 years, $75 million. Yannick Ngakoue is another key free agent for the Bears. The Bears have a lot of money at $62 million in cap space, so they have way more than enough to do things in free agency, maybe to extend some guys as well. Justin Jones is a free agent as well. Dan Feeney, Robert Tonyan, Deonta Foreman, Equanimeous St. Brown, Nathan Peterman, and then Darnell Mooney, who I think's kind of underrated still there. So not a lot of losses in free agency right now, but Jalen Johnson, that was good. They brought him back, needed him to come back. And then, the Bears right there at pick 1 and pick 9. We kind of know what they're going to do. It all kind of depends what can they get for Justin Fields. And so I put that quarterback position as their number 1 in their needs because, they're fielding offers for Justin Fields, right? They probably want a 2. They probably want a 1, but they're probably not going to get that. Receiver, we need someone opposite DJ Moore. I think that's a good start. I think Cole Kmet's a good start, but for a young quarterback that's coming in, I don't love their offensive line right now. I think it is getting better. I think they have found some answers with Braxton Jones, with Tevin Jenkins, but it still needs to get much better. I think they could be heavy in the guard department in free agency. So quarterback, receiver, and then edge. I think edge is their other big need. Who's opposite Montez Sweat? They need to replenish that defensive line a little bit. So my mock for them is Caleb Williams with their first overall pick, Roma Dunze at pick 9, and then Kieran Amagadaje from Yale, the tackle/guard. I think is more a development type of piece, but a guy I think could play tackle long term, but could play guard early on too. I think he's a perfect type of developmental piece that the Bears need to continue to invest in their offensive line as well. And then maybe defensive end in their 3rd round. This isn't the deepest defensive end draft, definitely not, but maybe a Chris Braswell could fall at around 3. I think that can make a lot of sense for them as well. The NFC South is our next division, guys. NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans is back. They signed him, gave him a lot of money. They are 9-8 in 2023. The Baker is baking. He had a really solid year for the Buccaneers this year, I thought. Beat the Eagles in the playoffs too. I'm glad he found his home for the time being. And I'm sure they're going to re-sign him, give him an extension, but that is something to watch out for. Todd Bowles shows that he can be the head coach. There's a lot of talk about Todd Bowles not being able to, but I think he can do it. And then Canales is gone. He left for the Panthers. So a little bit about them. Free agents, Devin White and Antoine Winfield Jr. Winfield got tagged, I believe. We kind of expect that to happen. You can't let one of your best players, one of the best safeties in the league, just leave like that. Devin White and Levante David are both free agents. The Buccaneers have about $15 million in cap space this year. Not a ton, right? But I think Devin White and Levante could both be gone, and that's not great for them. And you replenish linebacker position a little bit. Ryan Jensen retired, right? We know that. Ryan Neal's a free agent. Chase Edmonds, Matt Filer, William Golston, Greg Gaines, Nick Leverett, D. Delaney are restricted free agents as well. So they don't have a lot of free agents that they're going to miss besides those two linebackers there. I think this is still a very good team next year, a very competitive team. But I think Devin White, Levante David could be gone. Like I said, this is a big safety class, free agent class. This is also a very big linebacker class as well. I think their biggest needs are offensive line, like almost maybe 2 or 3 guys they could use. Edge, Shaq Barrett, and Joe Tryon aren't the answer anymore. I like both guys. I just don't think right now at this position they're either of them are elite. I think they could replenish there. And then corner as well. Save us from Dean and Davis. Everything that I've heard from Buccaneers fans, from experts, is that corner position is still a need, even though those guys are names. But I still think from what they say is that corner is a pretty massive need. So my little mock for the Buccaneers, I have Kingsley Suamataia, the tackle/guard from BYU in the first. I have Brandon Dorless, D tackle/defensive end from Oregon in round 2. And then Josh Newton, corner from TCU. I think this could provide a lot of athletic, freaky type of players for the Buccaneers, guys that they can continue to develop. I love what they have at receiver. If they can invest a little bit into the offensive line this offseason, I think they're near the top of the division once again. Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons, 7-10 in 2023. Getting rid of Ritter, possibly. Desmond Ritter had a really, really down year, really bad year. I don't think he's the answer. I don't think anyone thinks he's the answer. Bijan was very much underutilized. Give him the rock. Raheem Morris is getting his second chance at head coach, so we love to see that for the Atlanta Falcons. And then Jesse Bates as advertised. So a little bit of a mediocre year for the poor Atlanta Falcons. Falcons do have about $37 million in cap space, so we like to see that. They're going to have a lot of money to do some things in free agency as well. Their key free agents that you see here, we have Jeffrey Okudah and Calais Campbell. I don't think either are massive needs to retain them. I don't think that's a big need. They did sign Jonnu Smith. Johnny Smith with the Dolphins, so he's a free agent. He's gone. Cordarrelle Patterson, free agent. Bud Dupree, Mac Hollins, Van Jefferson, Contavious Street, Matt Hennessy, Andre Smith, Logan Woodside. So there's some decent guys on there, I'll be honest, that they're losing. But I think this is a team that has a lot of stars on their team, a lot of talent. They just need to – they really need Raheem to come in there and do work. I think if they get a quarterback like a Justin Fields, I think they could win that division, but you got to invest in quarterback, right? You can't. I don't think you can go into next year with Desmond Ritter again. I think it's not a good idea. Their biggest needs: edge. Man, if Bud Dupree was starting, you need an edge. Quarterback, we need a quarterback, and then wide receiver. I need someone else than Drake London. I love the big body at the X receiver, right? But we need also a Z receiver, a guy that can get downfield a little bit as well. So my little mock for the Falcons, I have Dallas Turner at defensive end. I have Michael Penix. Now, if they don't get Justin Fields, I think this is the team that can maybe either take him at their position or maybe if he falls, trade back up into the second round and grab Michael Penix because I think he would be ready to go, ready to hand it off to Bijan, to give it to Kyle Pitts, to give it to Drake London. And then round 3, I have Tez Walker out of UNC. And like I said, they needed a deep threat. I think Tez is that guy. I think Tez, even though he performed poorly in the Senior Bowl, I think that deep threat is needed. I think he can work on his hands a little bit. I think he'd be a perfect complement to Drake London. Next, we have New Orleans Saints. Saints are a little bit in a weird position. They were 9-8 in 2023. It kind of seemed like they didn't know what they wanted to do. Should they tank? Should they keep going for it? We got Derek Carr in there, but he wasn't great as well. Defense is getting older. They're $10 million over the cap space. They're in a bad position right now. Defense is getting older. Like I said, they really couldn't win this division. I feel like the Saints are one of those teams that are always in the thick of things. And if you get a guy like Derek Carr, pay a lot for him, pay him money, and you can't win the division, that says a lot about, I think, who he is as a player. Kubiak is the new OC, so maybe he can liven up that offense just a little bit for the Saints, because we know the talent they kind of have. Key free agents, I have Andres Pete and Zach Bond, the outside linebacker. I think both of them are probably gone. I don't think they really need either of them. Kyle Phillips is a free agent at defensive end. Jonathan Abram, Cameron Irving as well, Max Garcia, Isaac Yiadom, Lonnie Johnson Jr., Troy Turner, and Jimmy Graham as well. They also did not retain Lynn Bowden. That was pretty recently. So they have a lot of needs. I think this is a team that could look. Man, I think it should start over. In my honest opinion, I think they should try to blow it up a little bit. I love Chris Olave. I still love Kamara as a player, maybe not as a person. I like some of their pieces along the offensive line. Marshawn Lattimore has been in trade talks out there. That's not great. They're looking to shed some cap, maybe get some picks. They're going to have to really retool for the draft, honestly. Offensive line was one of the best during a time, but I would think offensive line is one of their biggest needs, along with defensive end and maybe even D tackle. Cam Jordan has talked a lot about continuing to invest in that D line, and I think they should. It starts at the line of scrimmage. So J.C. Latham is my pick for them in round 1. I have Jonah Ellis in round 2 and McKinley Jackson, D tackle, in round 3. I think all these guys could play right away, give them good depth. And also, I think there's a lot of upside for all these guys as well. The Saints, like I said, it's not just offensive line. You could argue tight end. You could argue receiver. You could argue linebacker. They're getting older. You could argue corner if Marshawn Lattimore is going to get traded. So a lot of needs for the Saints. Personally, I would think they would continue to shed cap and then get picks in trades. Next up is the Carolina Panthers. They were 2-15 in 2023. Not great for those Panthers. For a new kind of team, they got their new quarterback. They got their new coach and Frank Reich. Well, Frank Reich's gone. Dave Canales has stepped in now. He's the new head coach. A lot of it of a mess for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, you would think, right? I mean, you get a rookie quarterback, you want to surround him with everything. He had nothing. Miles Sanders was pretty bad. Chuba Hubbard was their number one option. Tight end, non-existent. Receivers, non-existent, except for Adam Thielen, who had a pretty good year in fantasy, but that's about it. Offensive line underperformed. Defense, we like what they have with Evero at defensive coordinator, but you could argue they could invest there as well. They need Brian Burns back. He got tagged, so hopefully they can extend him. The whole roster needs work. It needs construction. Their free agents, C.J. Henderson, Brian Burns. Henderson's probably gone. I would expect them to move on from Henderson and Brian Burns. Like I said before, you can't get rid of defensive ends, premium pass rushers, young pass rushers who are like this. You just got to extend them. Pay your own. Other free agents, we have Chris Wormley, Gabe Jackson, Deion Jones, Troy Hill, Jeremy Chin's a big one. Laviska Shenault, Yetur Gross-Matos at defensive end, Shaquille Griffin, Marquise Haynes, Frankie Louvu is pretty good too. DJ Chark and CJ Henderson, like I said. So some pretty big free agents for them, and they only have like $12 million in cap space, so not a lot to work with. This is going to be a very crucial offseason for them. I would argue they need 2 receivers. Top needs 2 receivers, tight end, and then edge. I still think with the loss of Yetur Gross-Matos, he second round pick in that draft where they drafted all defense. Yetur Gross-Matos is kind of the guy that middling kind of player, not a long-term answer. So I think wide receiver, tight end, and edge for them are the biggest needs. So I have Ladd McConkey. I think they could maybe grab him at the beginning of the second round. I have Theo Johnson and Marshawn Nealand. I think all these guys are attainable. I think all these guys can be good for the Panthers. But maybe they're the kind of team that trades back a little bit, gets some more picks. But man, they have $12 million to work with. Hopefully they can restructure some stuff, maybe go out and try to get a receiver. I don't know off the top of my head who who that would be. I mean, maybe you can make an argument for Terry McLaurin. Maybe you can go ahead and trade for Michael Gallup, even though I don't think he's that great. There's some teams in the NFC East you could grab. There's not a lot of teams who have excess receivers who want to get rid of them. Maybe you go ahead and get Juju Smith-Schuster somehow. I don't know. Just throwing out some names. They need veteran receivers. They need pro receivers. They need good ones to help out Bryce Young. That's one of their biggest needs, I would say. Next is the NFC East. This is our third division that we're talking about. Before that, we're going to go to our ads, and then I'll be right back.
Fresh Cuts has been one of our amazing sponsors since day one. Slide on over to Fresh Cuts, talk to Caleb, because it's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Book with him now. Mondays are his most available days, but you can hit him up anytime for a fresh cut.
All right, and we're back with our last two divisions. This is the NFC East, the NFC Least, the NFC Beast. Definitely not the Beast this year. Commanders and Giants couldn't keep up. About the Cowboys in 2023, 12-5. Dak attack was kind of weak near the end of the year. Here we go, and they kind of went nowhere. Down the stretch, kind of lost it again. The defense was kind of bad down the stretch, but Mike Zimmer, he is with the team now. Dan Quinn's a head coach. They got spanked against the Packers. No one really saw that coming, or we did. Tackles might need a change in. Tyron Smith probably out. Steele wasn't really a steal per se. He could be on his way out too. Maybe a trade, maybe a restructure. I know they didn't absolutely love what he did this year. And then the interior run defense for the Cowboys still has not been fixed. Monty Smith was not the answer. Surprise, surprise. And they really need to invest and get a run stuffing, a D tackle who can plug and play, can plug the lanes. They really need that desperately. Key free agents for your Dallas Cowboys. We have Stephon Gilmore and we have Tony Pollard. I'm a big Tony Pollard fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a massive Tony Pollard fan, but I think he could be on his way out. I don't think they really used him as well as they should have last year. I think he'll get a decent chunk in free agency. I think he's one of the best running backs there. Gilmore could be on his way out too. Dorrance Armstrong, he's probably on his way out. Tyron Smith probably on his way out. Man, they got some guys. Rico Dowdle, Chuma Edoga, Hankins, Neville Gallimore, Fowler Jr., Jordan Lewis, Jaron Kearse, Tyler Biadasz. There's a lot of guys that they're going to lose, and they have about $2 million in cap space to work with. So this is a very crucial offseason for the Cowboys. I don't think either Gilmore or Pollard will be back. I think they'll command too much money, and the Cowboys will invest in the draft. Their biggest needs, tackle, I would say linebacker, and running back as well. So we'll see what they get in free agency. I don't think much. So my little mock draft for them, I have Troy Fautanu from Washington, or Fautanu, however you want to pronounce it. A lot of pronunciations for his name. If Troy makes it to there, I fully envision the Cowboys taking him. That would be a great pick. Edgerrin Cooper, that really seems like a Cowboy to me. Fast, instinctive, physical, tough, a bullet. And then Will Shipley in round 3, the running back from Clemson. Just a guy that can kind of probably do it all for you, who can catch out of the backfield, who can also run the ball. A little bit of Tony Pollard-esque in terms of doing more than one thing. But his injury concerns that will kind of kick his draft projection down a little bit. I think that would be a good scoop for the Cowboys. So, yeah, definitely offensive line, linebacker, running back as well. I like what Brandon Cooks gave them at the end of last year, but you could argue receiver too if they want to get rid of Michael Gallup in a trade. Eagles, 11-6 in 2023. Jalen Carter could be a stud. Disastrous end for them. Absolutely horrible. Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio are in. Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia / Sean Desai are out. Defense needs a lot of help. They need a whole new defense probably. And the Swift and Kelsey duo is done in Philadelphia, along with Fletcher Cox. Kelsey and Fletcher Cox are both retired, so not great for the Eagles. They do have some pretty good picks, and they have about $42 million in cap space as well. Key free agents, DeAndre Swift, Jason Kelsey. I don't think either of them will be back. Quiz Watkins, Marcus Mariota as well, Sua Opeta, Jack Driscoll, some linebackers, Zach Cunningham as well, Justin Evans. There's a few guys I'd like to retain if I were them, but I think, with those losses, I think some of their biggest needs are offensive line. Kelsey's gone, right? Linebacker, please get one. And then safety and corner as well, kind of a little bit of a duo there. So their little mock, I have Cooper DeJean in round 1. I think he could fit 2 needs, 2 birds with 1 stone. Cedric Gray in round 2. Him or Peyton Wilson, I think, would be good selections for the Eagles, guys that can cover and also rush the passer and also stop the run, guys that can do a little bit of everything for you. And then Zach Frazier with their second round pick. If you're looking to replace Kelsey, maybe get a little bit of a different kind of center, I think Frazier's there. If they want to go ahead and put Cam Jurgens at center instead, I think right guard could be a need. Look out for Christian Mahogany or Christian Haynes in round 2 or round 3. Giants, 6-11 in 2023. Wink was gone in a blink. He's gone. Offensive line, still bad. Wide receiver, still bad. Darren Waller was failed experiment. We all kind of knew that was going to happen. Dable, I think, still shows promise. I think he could lead this team, but you're going to have to get him some talent for sure. Key free agents are Adoree Jackson and Saquon Barkley. The Giants have a decent chunk of money in free agency, about 39 million to work with. Saquon Barkley, I think, should go elsewhere. Giants, I mean, you need a lot, and I don't think running back is the position that you need right away. Cam Brown's a free agent as well. Ben Bredesen, Darnay Holmes, Gunnar Olszewski, Matt Pert, Randy Bullock, Jared Davis, Sterling Shepard, Matt Breida, Justin Pugh, Xavier McKinney's a big one. Paris Campbell, Ashawn Robinson's a big one. Isaiah Simmons is a big one. And like I said, Adoree Jackson as well. They need a lot. Another team that needs a whole bunch. You could argue they need a whole line beyond Andrew Thomas. You could argue they need another tight end, maybe 2 receivers, a running back if Saquon's gone, maybe a corner. A lot of needs. I would say quarterback is their biggest need. Danny Penny's, need I say more? They shouldn't have paid him. Ridiculous contract. I called it stupid as soon as they did. Weapons is their biggest need. I can't name you one good player beyond Saquon, honestly. Like one that really impacts this team as much as Saquon did. There isn't one. And then offensive line, Andrew Thomas is elite at left tackle. John Michael Schmitz was solid, but, I still think 3 positions. They need to figure out if Evan Neal can play tackle. If not, I need another tackle and another guard, I would say. So my little mock for them, I have 4 picks for you just because I need so much. I have them taking J.J. McCarthy, Roman Wilson, Patrick Paul, and Trey Benson. That's just retooling their whole offense right there. And I think provide a lot of juice, a lot of excitement for the Giants. And they need that. They need a guy they can believe in, a guy they can rock with. They need talent. They need athleticism along the offense, along the offensive line. Patrick Paul could be, I think, a stalwart at right tackle. Move Evan Neal to guard. That could figure out a lot of problems for the New York Giants. Next, we have the Washington Commanders, 4-13 in 2023. New ownership. Hello, Josh Harris. Hello, Dan Quinn. Hello, Zach Ertz, too. That's interesting. They traded away their superstar. Sam Howell's kind of meh. And Riverboat Ron, that just kind of sank. Went away. Key free agents for your Commanders. Well, they have a few, and they have a lot of money to work with. They have about $90 million in cap space. They have a ton to work with. Kendall Fuller, Curtis Samuel are your key free agents that I have for you. I think both of them are probably gone, and that would be okay. I don't think they need Curtis Samuel, to be honest. They have some pretty good receivers. They have some young corners they invested in a lot, too. Along with that, they have Jacoby Brissett, Cody Barton, Jeremy Reeves, Khaleke Hudson, David Mayo, Antonio Gibson's a big one, Jameson Crowder, Byron Pringle, Sadiq Charles, Terrell Burgess, Cameron Curl's a big one, Casey Toohill, James Smith-Williams. I think Cameron Curl could get a bag on the open market. He might go elsewhere, and that might be a sneaky need for them. Quarterback is their biggest need. Tackle, guard, they need to retool most of that offensive line. And the edge, the studs are gone, right? We need studs to build a house, and you need to build some walls. So you need a defensive end desperately after those guys are gone. My little mock for them, I have Jaden Daniels in round 1, provide some elite athleticism, some exciting quarterback play. Jordan Morgan in round 2, a guy that can probably start for you day 1 at tackle from Arizona. And Darius Robinson as their 3rd pick. I believe that was in round 2 from the Bears. So Darius Robinson, I think, can provide them with a lot of sneaky athleticism, a strong edge for the Commanders to start rebuilding that house. Our last division, guys, is the NFC West. About the 49ers, 12-5 in 2023, pretty good. Shanahan choked once again. They blamed Wilkes, don't know why. Was McCaffrey robbed MVP? I would say yes. I think, man, he's the kind of guy that just took them over the hump. Key free agents for the Niners, Javon Kinlaw, Chase Young. I think they should go ahead and resign Chase Young. I know he had that kind of iffy play in the playoffs, but we know they love their defensive line. They love investing in their defensive line. So if not Chase Young, someone else. They don't have a lot to work with right now. They are over the cap by about $300,000. I think that can easily get reworked. I think they'll have a little bit more money to play with than we think. Along with those two guys, we have Chris Conley, Matt Pryor, Logan Ryan, Brandon Allen, Kevin Givens, Raymond McLeod, John Feliciano, Cleveland Farrell, Oren Brooks, Tayshaun Gibson, Sam Darnold, Randy Gregory, and then Juwan Jennings is a restricted free agent. I think they'll be back in the thick of things next year. Personally, I don't think that's a surprise. Their biggest needs, I think, is tackle. Trent Williams is a grandpa, and he's a pretty good one at that. But I think tackle and guard, I think, are big needs. I think they can vastly improve along that side of the ball. Cornerback, I don't know if they have enough cash to extend Ward, Lenore. I think corner can be a sneaky big need for them as well. So my picks for them, I have Tyler Guyton in round 1, Kalen King, who could play safety or corner for them, round 2, and then Brandon Coleman, the tackle/guard from TCU in round 3. The Arizona Cardinals, 4-13, 2023. Somehow they beat the Eagles at the end of the year. Don't ask me how they did that, but they did. A little bit of promise for Jonathan Gannon. Defense, not really many talented guys there. Defense was down bad. It was a step in the right direction, but I think they need a lot more weapons to continue to improve. They have about $60 million in cap space to work with, so we're good there. They're probably going to spend a lot in free agency. Hollywood Brown is a free agent. Buda Baker is one. I think Buda's gone. I think Hollywood Brown is back. You just don't want to get rid of that kind of speed. That speed does not come around very often. You just don't want to let that go. I think they should bring him back for sure. Other free agents for them: Blake Gillikin, Chris Barnes, Marlon Mack, Pat Elflein, LJ Collier, Antonio Hamilton, Carlos Watkins, and restricted free agent Jonathan Ledbetter as well. So not a ton of losses there for the Cardinals. I think they're one of those teams that are probably going to spend a bunch of free agency, and I don't blame them. Receiver is a massive need. Corner is a big need, and then tackle and guard. Paris Johnson is not enough for me. I love what he did in his first year. I think that was a solid pick. They need to continue to invest there. Receiver, continue to invest. God, I can't even name you the receiver that they had at the end of the year that was playing a lot for him. But, once he's kind of there as wide receiver number 1, it's not a good look. Murray was kind of thrown to nobody near the end of the year. And, whether it's Kyler Murray or whether it's someone else, at quarterback, they need to provide him with weapons. Greg Dortch, that was like Greg Dortch. Rondell Moore is still there too. Michael Wilson for sure, but I still think they could get a better guy there. And then defense, you could argue they need pretty much every position along the defense. So corner as well. Some picks for them: I have Marvin Harrison round 1, TJ Tampa corner, and Chris Jenkins I think can provide a lot of juice. The D tackle from Michigan provide a lot of juice for that needed defensive line for the Cardinals. Rams 10-7 in 2023. Puka, an awesome year for Puka. Them not having a lot of first rounders didn't really hurt them. They keep stacking wins. They keep stacking good years. Kyron Williams had a breakout for them, and Stafford and Donald stay alive. They're still kicking. They're older, but they're doing work. They're killing it, and they'll be back next year as well. Key free agents for the Rams: Kevin Dotson, Brian Allen. They brought back Kevin Dotson. I'm glad they did. It's a really good move. Again, this guard market is pretty insane, but guys are starting to slowly get out of here. So they signed Kevin Dotson. The Rams have about $30 million to work with, so some good money there. Free agents along with Kevin Dotson and Brian Allen. There's Jonah Williams at defensive tackle, Alaric Jackson, Carson Wentz, who they signed late last year, Akello Witherspoon, Royce Freeman, John Johnson, Troy Reader, Bryson Hopkins, and Jordan Fuller. That's a pretty big one. Jordan Fuller could get a decent chunk of change on the open market. For the Rams, biggest needs, quarterback. I think Stafford's done soon. I think we need to find his replacement. Offensive line, it's still a mess. I mean, I like Dotson, but I still think they need to invest there, just like the Rams. Corner as well. I don't think Witherspoon or Durant are the long-term answers. So my picks for them, I have Bo Nix. I don't think Bo Nix is going to go round one anymore. So I think what they could do is maybe trade back a little bit, continue to trade back. They're really good for later picks. Like I said, first rounders did not hurt them. That's fine. But their later picks, their second, third, fourth, they've been continuing to hit. So I think the strategy for them would be to trade back a little bit, take Bo Nix, have Kalen Carson, and Tanner Bortolini, who is a standout at the combine, a guy who can provide you a lot of athleticism at center or guard. My last team here is the Seattle Seahawks. 9-8 in 2023. Tarek Woolen took a step down. Young OT's banged up. Too many running backs. They've drafted too many. Gino might not be the long-term answer. And then Pete Carroll is out. Mike McDonald is in. The Seahawks' key free agents are Leonard Williams, Jordan Brooks, and Bobby Wagner. I think they should bring back both Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner. Say goodbye to Leonard Williams. Leonard, they paid a hefty price for him, but I don't think he was worth it. Brooks and Wagner, I think they're both solid players still. And man, like if you're going to invest in the draft and linebacker, you still have a lot of other needs. I don't think that's worth it. I think they should reinvest in Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner. Their needs right here, I have center, offensive line, and linebacker. And then the picks for them, I have JPJ, the center from Oregon. I think that's a solid pick for them. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., if they do decide to get rid of those linebackers, I think he could be a plug-and-play guy. And then Kieran Megadege, the tackle/guard from Yale, as my last pick for them. All right, and that is all the teams in the NFC. We kind of went quick there, but I hope that gives you guys a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a rundown, what to expect in free agency, what to expect out of each of these teams in the draft as well. A lot's going to happen the next week or so. A lot's probably going to happen the next couple of days with free agency. It's going to start off with a bang, I'm sure, with trades and massive signings. Remember, the cap went up by a ton this year, so there's going to be a lot of big money thrown around, a lot of free agents, a lot of guys that were cut. So I'm super excited for it. I hope you guys are too. Guys, remember to continue to share, subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. We have a lot of good content still coming up with mock drafts, live mock drafts. So stick around, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.